Hi Slayers and welcome back to my channel. My name is Eileen and in today's video I am very excited because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite hyperfixations, MacBooks, and the new M4 MacBooks that just came out. Today I'm going to be answering for you if you should upgrade to an M4 MacBook, or if you shouldn't, what MacBook should you get? Okay, I'm going to start off by saying if you have an Intel MacBook and you're looking to upgrade, please do. I upgraded from an Intel MacBook a couple years ago, and I love Apple Silicon. I only upgraded to an M1, and I love my M1. I still have it, and I use it every day, so it's amazing. It's leaps and bounds better than the Intel MacBook. If you're looking for a new MacBook and you see an Intel MacBook for really cheap, do not buy it. I promise it's not worth it. I cannot stress this enough. Now, let's talk a little bit about different use cases and what MacBook I think is the best for you guys. I'm going to break this up into 3 categories. The first one being you don't really do a lot of creative or heavy intensive work for your computer. The middle one being you do like a medium amount, maybe it's like a hobby, maybe you have a YouTube channel. Me. The third one being like you're professional at this and you do a lot of work that needs a lot. So, starting with the first category, I don't think that you need a MacBook Pro. The MacBook Airs with the Apple Silicon are really good, and the main benefit to getting an Air over the Pro is it is a lot lighter. And they are great machines, and they are cheaper. Of course they are. They're a little bit less spec'd out. I wouldn't recommend editing super long videos or anything, but they are pretty capable if you want to dabble in some creative things. So where would you buy this MacBook Air? Now, as I'm filming this video in November 2024, things are on sale, and I would recommend using Amazon or OpenBox on Best Buy because you will find a cheaper deal. I got my laptop from OpenBox on Best Buy. I got Apple coverage with it, so it was fine. I felt safe doing it, and it's worked perfectly. I had no issues with it. I've never bought tech off of Amazon, but it's a pretty reputable seller from what I understand. And right now, stuff is on sale, and I think it's for Black Friday, but honestly, it just looks really enticing for these prices. So if you want the big screen and you want the 15-inch MacBook Air, which is a little bit heavier, but still very nice if you want that big screen, but it's still lighter than the MacBook Pro, that's a crazy deal. To get any MacBook for less than $1,000 is a crazy deal. The 13-inch MacBook Airs, right now the base model on Amazon is selling for $845. That comes with 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigabytes of RAM, so it's not amazing, but like I said, you probably don't need that extra power, and if you did, then you might be considering looking at a Pro instead. But if you're speccing it out, you might want to start to consider the Pro because chances are you need that extra performance for something. Maybe you just want to future-proof it for yourself a little bit. What if you're like dabbling in video editing now, but then later down the line you edit more, that kind of thing. Then I would suggest looking at the base model MacBook Pro 14-inch. The MacBook Pro 14-inch base model comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. A couple of reasons to get the Pro over the Air, even if it's a little bit heavier and a little bit more expensive. For reference, the base model M4 runs at $1,400 on Amazon currently, or $1,600 on the Apple website, or $1,500 on the Apple Education website. So you will be spending a decent amount of more money, but you get a much better screen compared to the MacBook Air. And you get, of course, more power, and you get a fan built inside the computer to cool it off if you're doing some of those heavier tasks, which is important because you don't want over time to be overloading your computer and making it too hot when it can't cool itself down. But that is, of course, the most expensive option for like the people who probably don't need that performance, and the MacBook Airs are known to be amazing and spectacular with their performance for almost every scenario unless you're doing a lot of one specific like creative or intensive task. Okay, so moving on to the second category of people, and these are people in the middle, like me, who do a decent amount of creative or intensive work on their computers, but probably not enough to be like, oh, I need the top spec of every computer out there. For reference, my daily driver is a M1 MacBook Pro 14-inch base model, and I love it. It never gives me any issues. I have edited short films on there, 4K footage for clients, wedding videos. I've edited every YouTube video on there, and yeah, it's really held up great, and I can do some light gaming on it. I play Minecraft, I play The Sims on there. It really runs with no issues. It is getting a little older though, and so I was very interested in the M4 base model version. And so I don't know if you saw the video where I unboxed it, but I did buy one, and I actually returned it. I was pretty impressed by it, but not super impressed by it for what I specifically do. I know that it's better, and I know that it's newer, and it's more future-proofed, and whatever. But I love my MacBook, and I really don't have a ton of issues with export times or like overheating or anything for what I use it for. However, after I bought it, so I bought it on launch day, right? It was $1,600. I bought it on the Apple Education website, which you can do with a guest profile, and low-key, you don't have to put in like a EDU email, even though I have one, so you know, I didn't do anything wrong. But I bought it on the Apple Education website for $1,500, but really after tax it was $1,600. And then today, after I had returned it, I go to Amazon and it's there for $1,400. And at Best Buy open box, it's there for $1,300. That is crazy because my M1 base model was $2,000 when I bought it, and I got it open box for $1,600. So for it to already be on sale, like not even 2 weeks after it came out for $1,400 is actually a really good deal. If you're coming from an M1 and you're a little hesitant to upgrade, I would stay hesitant. Personally, just ask yourself, do you really need this upgrade? And if it's something you find out you do, then I feel like it's a good price for it. But if it's something that you don't necessarily need, then I think that you don't need it. So the base model M4 is a really good option for so many people. You can really push it to its limits. And what I like most about it coming from an M1 or even coming from Intel is that you get the nano texture display option, which is an upgrade, but you know, there's the option for that. You get Thunderbolt 5 ports, and of course you get the better battery life. According to Apple, it says it has up to 24 hours of battery life. And you get a better webcam with a 12 megapixel sensor. And of course, it's newer, so I looked at the Apple website and how long that they support Macs with the current version of macOS, and the oldest version that they currently support right now is 2018. And that's only 6 years of support. So if I got this Mac in 2021, it's really only gonna last me until 2027. Roughly. I mean, they say that they give like roughly 10 years of support, but who really knows if that's true? So getting the M4 right now for $1,400 is a better deal, in my opinion. And you'll get the future proofing and you'll get all the new things that they added to it. And of course the M4 chip is a better chip than all of the previous versions because it's the newest. And as of right now, it doesn't seem to be having any super glaring issues. If you're looking to get a base model and you're thinking, oh, maybe I can save money by getting the M1, you're actually not gonna save that much. It turns out on eBay, a lot of them are selling for roughly like $1,200. And $1,200 compared to $1,600 is a decent difference, but $1,200 compared to $1,400 is not that big of a difference. If you're really on a budget though and you need the power for creative tasks, I would recommend looking at the 13-inch M1 and M2 MacBook Pros. They still have the touch bar and they have the smaller screens, and things are a little bit worse on them, but they have the M chips and that's the most important part. So everything else you can kind of live without, and they usually sell for roughly like $800-ish on eBay. At the end of the day, it's better to have a machine that actually works versus having all the fun bells and whistles that the 14 inches do. Now, if you're sort of bridging that gap between being someone who does intensive work for like a hobby versus like basically almost pro, like you're kind of in the middle there, then I would look into the M4 MacBook Pro chip. On Amazon, it's $1,750 right now, and you do get the upgraded chip, which adds a lot of performance. And that chip is really, really good, and it rivals the M4 Pro Max chip, so I think that's like a very safe, solid bet, and definitely a big upgrade or improvement from whatever laptop you were coming from before. And this kind of leads me into the next category, which is for people who do this very professionally. And I do think that the M4 Pro chip actually, like, it seems that it holds up pretty well next to the Max chip, and it's really possible that you should just spec out an M4 Pro chip versus the M4 Max chip. And that's personally what I would probably do because I like to save a little bit of money. So if you wanted to spec it out and get extra RAM and extra storage, you can get 24 gigabytes of RAM and a terabyte of storage for $2,100, which is a lot, but compared to how much the base model Pro used to be, which was $2,000, it's not so bad, and already the M4 Pro is pushing $2,000 anyways. But if you're really on a budget, you can find a lot of spec'd out M2 Max chips that are spec'd out pretty well for around the $2,000 mark. So it is pretty similar, but it's cheaper compared to the M4 Max Pro chip. So the M4 Pro Max chip is around $3,000. Also, if you're looking at getting the 16-inch instead of the 14-inch, that could be a viable option for you because it does have a slight boost in performance, but it is more expensive. And personally, I think it's too heavy to carry around. So to conclude, I think the main pros for any M4 MacBook that just came out are the following. You get better battery life, you get a better camera, you get more performance, of course, you get the option for the nano texture display. I think the price is pretty good. You get more cooling power because it has a second fan. If you're coming from a base model M2, then you get the extra Thunderbolt port on the right. You get Thunderbolt 5. you can plug in up to 2 external monitors with just the base model, which is pretty cool. And of course you get the cool space black color, which I love. So if any of those are like super important to you, then I would consider upgrading. But if not, and you feel like you can hold out for a little bit with your current device, then I feel like that's not such a bad thing, because as we've seen it fall in price already, it's just going to keep going down. So yeah, and remember to check other websites that are not Apple, because I think Apple and Apple Refurbished are a little overpriced, but places like Amazon and Walmart and Best Buy always have pretty good deals. So that's where I usually get my tech. And remember, you can always get Apple Care. And if you're buying it off of eBay, make sure you always have accepts returns turned on. That way, if something's wrong with it, you can always return it. Anyways, Slayers, thank you so much for watching. That concludes the review portion. But really quickly, I did just have to tell you this story that has absolutely nothing to do with the video. But I'm thinking of, like, at the end of every video telling you a story about myself. And this one is just so fresh and embarrassing that I have to tell you. So today I was in class and I was about to take a sip of water with this water bottle right here. And I open it and then it's like sitting on the table and it slips out. Boom, the first row, down to the second row, down to the third row, clang, clang, clang. It was mortifying. And then the whole class turned to look at me. And the teacher was like teaching during this time and he turned to look at me. I was gonna be like, haha, sorry, you know, but then he just like looked at me with such like, he didn't even see me. He just like was like, I'm just gonna carry on talking. And it was actually the most awkward thing he could have done, because then I'm just sitting there frozen and some poor girl hands me my water bottle from 3 rows down and everybody's looking at me and I just start laughing and nobody else is laughing and it was just really embarrassing. So I just had to get that off my chest. So like this video if you've ever had an embarrassing moment, or if you like MacBooks or whatever. Have a good day. Bye!